Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Radio Visca. Coming to you today again from the streets. I've decided I'll be doing more podcasts, just walking around town, walking around my neighborhood, and since it's quiet at night, especially sort of around midnight as it is now, most of them will be sort of midnight strolls coming to you from midnight strolls. So, what do I want to talk about today? I suppose there's where does this? I mean, I guess I have this need to maybe talk a little bit more about my channel. It's currently not very successful at all. I haven't really put much effort into making it successful. I mean, there's obviously things you can do, sending your links around, search engine optimization, advertising, just interaction with other people on social media. I think on Twitter I've got something like 77 followers. On YouTube I've currently got something like 7 or 8 subscribers. And I think the largest viewer count currently for any of my videos is, well, and they're not really videos. I mean, I do some graphics sometimes, but they're really podcasts. But yeah, I do podcasts with slides, let's call it that. The largest viewer number for one of those, I believe, is the presentation. And that one does have actually some video content. It's the ongoing war on Germany video. I think that's at 64 views or so. So, and I mean, I've been on YouTube now for, a few weeks, and I suppose I expected it to take off more, especially as I do comment on some larger channels and I do post my links, kind of go, hey guys, I've got a new podcast up. And I suppose there's just so much content out there that you really have to stand out and to get, and there's this sort of chicken and egg problem where people don't really like viewing videos with not so many views. I mean, the view count is sort of it's like a snowball effect. So, but I've sort of thought to myself, well, that's not all bad, because I feel kind of free, and I can kind of just make this my personal kind of vlog in a way, because it really doesn't seem like anyone near me or like it's ever going to be of much importance. But I hope that there's some people out there that do get something out of the presentations I do. Or I mean, they're really not present. Some of my uploads are presentations. Most of it are sort of stream of consciousness podcasts. And I think those kind of podcasts are quite good in a way if you're in the right set of mind. If you're just sort of chilling out and, are subscribed and you just listen to it maybe via your headphones on your phone. And, because the video content's not going to use a lot of data, I just have a single black screen usually. So in those scenarios, I think what I do works quite well. And it's just sort of like listening to someone, listening to one of your friends, really, maybe while you're chilling out around the couch, listening to what that person has to say. And that's something similar to the last podcast I did about screen time, I think that's also something we don't do enough of anymore. I think it was quite common in our past to sit around a fire. In most cases, it would have been a fireplace, or maybe in some places, some hot stones with some steam coming off, and just listen to storytelling by someone in the group. Often there'd be conversation, obviously, from many people, but then as the night went on, often, and I've experienced this often when I've been camping, there's sort of one person's story takes on sort of takes over the attention of everyone, and everyone just starts listening to that story. And that's a very profoundly natural human endeavor. I would say it's a need, and it's something that's been taken over by much more powerful but not personal forms of storytelling, such as cinema, television, or even video games, which are basically they're interactive, so they don't give you the same sense of sitting back and being at ease and resting and being at peace. I mean, many video games are extremely conflict driven, so they're sort of, I mean, they're like combat, really. I mean, most of them are actually feature combat. Even something like Mario is you're knocking off mushrooms, you're jumping on toads and turtles and stuff like that. And certainly something like Mario Kart, that's still shooting at other people. I mean, even a lot of the childish titles basically are combat based, even though they don't really look like a Call of Duty or Half-Life. So we're sort of, I would argue that we're sort of fundamentally sort of devoid of peaceful storytelling and story listening time, of sort of the more mystical a mind meld that you get around a campfire. And anyone who's gone camping and has sort of sat around the campfire at night knows exactly what I mean. There's a sense of there's that sort of primal human community building that we just don't get at all anymore in an atomized small apartment TV society. And obviously me here at night walking down these dark streets, talking to a microphone, I mean, at least I'm not staring at a screen. At least I'm out under the stars, and I can look around. There's trees and there's shadows and there's birds, and it's nice, but it's still not the same as that fundamental campfire bond building, that tribal communion. And I look around. I mean, I'm walking past some. Sorry if it's a bit loud. There's some motorcycles racing past it. I'm walking past, family homes here. There's a bit of a mix of apartment blocks and sort of single, double family homes. Some of these houses probably have more than one family in them. Some of them are probably just single occupancy. And it's midnight. It's actually 1 o'clock. I'm quite surprised at how many of them actually still have almost all the lights on. I just walked past 3 and they have all the lights blazing, and it's 1 a.m. So, and then across the street here, the next one does as well. So unless people have just kind of gone asleep and left all their lights on, people are still awake at 1 a.m. That's quite normal, I think, in the modern world. And I mean, the sun's been down for a while now. So yeah, that and I wonder, what are they doing? I'm walking past these houses. Most of them windows are pretty high up, so I can't really see what's going on there. But I'm assuming people are in front of their computers. People are watching TV. I hardly think that most of them are sitting around, a table telling each other stories. I mean, that does happen still. It's been very much hijacked by by a sort of like a TV enforced, get some guests over, have some wine, cook some dinner, show off, and have some debates with some wine glasses. I mean, there's many people that don't even do that, but the people that do that, the sort of, I sense it, I feel it's a bit pretentious. But I guess they do that. But that's not that's it's not the same thing at all, and it doesn't create the same feeling. First of all, you're in a mostly in a bright house that's over illuminated, and the over illumination, like the lack of darkness, and the lack of firelight as well. There's something that, um, yeah, I think that's worth a whole new episode of mine that I'll talk about at some point. But I mean, it may also be the case. I'm single. I'll admit it. So I don't really have anything else to do at this point in time except go to bed. And I'm trying to avoid spending that time in front of a screen. I do read books at times, but yeah, it does get a bit claustrophobic. And um, so my situation is not by no means everyone's situation, but I do know how it was when I did have a partner and was living together, and you know, did we, and that's the thing, couples or nuclear families, that's not really 100% natural either. I mean, the campsite experience, the tribal experience, that's not just a nuclear family. That's just not a couple. There's just one guy and one woman, as many of these apartments are made for now. That's a whole group of people, and there's maybe various couples amongst it, and there's various elders and children usually, and it's a totally different social experience that we very rarely have in modern society anymore. And that's, I think, why camping and going on camping trips is so, despite the obvious discomfort, it's definitely more discomfort, definitely not as comfortable, and definitely costs a fair bit. I mean, all the camping gear is not cheap, and campsites and camper vans and all that stuff. That's a sort of an additional cost. But nevertheless, it's got this just fundamental allure to it, because it's what we evolved doing for millions of years. Even before we were officially Homo sapiens, I would say that, much like chimpanzees and gorillas, we'd sit around and pat each other and touch each other. And I mean, the apes obviously pick various lice out of each other's hair. I mean, we probably would have done something along those lines as well, as depending on how much hair we still had. There would have been a more sophisticated social interaction than there is among gorillas or chimpanzees. But that would have been something we did for millions of years. I mean, at least hundreds of thousands of years. And now and it would have continued really for most people on Earth until, maybe 100, 200 years ago. I mean, in some urban centers, this would have been a bit different, 300, 400 years ago already. But that's not the majority of humans on the planet that had that civilization. And even in medieval civilization, the fireplace kind of substitutes for the campfire. I mean, there's maybe the walls of the buildings did modify the way that these social interactions work, but it wasn't a complete destruction of that sort of communion the way we have it now. So, as with the screens, as with the computer time, it's something I think about a lot, and it'd be interesting to see if anyone's done any research on that. If there's any research on what happens in human brains and to social interactions amongst people that regularly do that versus people that never do it. Yeah, I guess it's a sort of anthropological field potentially, and one reason I kind of dislike those sciences or those subjects is because they tend to focus on South Sea Islands or South America or Africa or something like that, and really this is just as European as anywhere else. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. That was my sort of musings for the night. Have a good night, guys, and talk to you soon.